Hello, I'm Patrick Eastbay. Today I'm going to be talking about George Miller and his research on the memory span and how to create concepts and talking about your Crow digit limit and the Crow digit test. So, what is this test about? This test is about figuring out what your Crow number is. The Crow slash memory span slash magic number is a number of ideas or things you can think of at one time. You can figure out your Crow number by taking a Crow digit test. The Crow digit test is a test used to figure out what your Crow limit is. You can set up the test by writing down 12 digits starting with one digit. Then the next line you do 2 digits, and the line after that you do 3. You keep doing that until you have 12 digits. Okay, now that you have your line of digits ready, you want to grab a partner. Once you have your partner, one at a time, you're going to read out one line of digit to your partner and they're going to repeat it back to you. Once they repeat it back to you, you go on to the next line of digits. You try to see how many digits you can remember. How many digits you can remember is what your Crow limit is. Here's a short video of me doing the Crow test with my father.
9,
9,
1, 5,
1, 5,
2, 9, 3,
2, 9, 3,
4, 9, 6, 1,
4, 9, 6, 1,
1, 5, 9, 6, 8,
1, 5, 9, 6, 8.
7, 8, 2,
You gotta go do it all.
7, 8, 2, 5, 4, 1,
7, 8, 2, 5, 4, 1.
3, 5, 6, 2, 9, 1, 6,
3, 5, 2, 9. I forgot that. And then I'll go now. So 3. And then you would just repeat back.
3,
4, 6,
4, 6,
7, 9, 3,
7, 9, 3,
4, 8, 5, 9,
4, 8, 5, 9,
1, 0, 6, 8, 5,
1, 0, 6, 8, 5,
6, 5, 3, 8, 7, 4,
6, 5, 3, 8, 7, 4,
1, 9, 7, 8, 4, 2, 6.
1, 9, 4, 8, 4, 2, 6.
I think you messed that one up. It was 1, 9, 7, 8, 4, 2, 6.
1, 9, 7, 8, 4, 2, 6.
Yeah. And then 7, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2.
7, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1,
7, 2.
7, 2.
That,
This is hard.
yeah. That was good though. Who is George Miller and why is it called the Crow? Well, the reason why it's called the Crow was because this test was originally done with crows. Back in the 50s, they did a large test to see what was the cognitive capacity of crows. And through the test, they figured out that the crow's limits were 3. So that's how it got a name of the Crow. And after that Crow test, they soon wanted to figure out what was the human limit. That led to George A. Miller. George A. Miller is a cognitive psychologist of Harvard University and has one of the most highly cited papers in psychology. His paper was called The Magical Number 7, plus or minus 2, Some Limits on Our Capacity for Processing Information, and it was published in 1956. His research concluded that humans can hold in their head 7 plus or minus 2 objects. Now that George Miller identified a Crow limit and everyone has their own personal Crow limit, how do we overcome it? Well, we overcome it with concepts. To create concepts, you must do this voluntarily. No one's going to do it for you. And the reason why we want to create concepts is because it's easier to remember one concept instead of 100 objects. Now that we know the importance of creating concepts, how do we create concepts? Well, we create concepts by gathering a bunch of objects or entities that have similar defining characteristics. And once you have those characteristics, you can start grouping and creating your concept. For example, here, you have all these different breeds of dogs. Each dog is different, but they all have defining characteristics. Like they all have tails, they all walk on fours, and they all bark. So you can categorize all these dogs in the one concept, just being dog. And that's easier to remember than trying to remember individual breeds. Now that brings us to the end. We went over what the crow was and how you can measure your own crow limit and how to overcome it by creating concepts.